Welcome back to Permission Slip Granted. Here, we're all about authenticity, and today, we're going to peel back some layers and talk about truth versus honesty.
Honesty at its core leaves no margin for truth or speculation. However, truth can be subjective.
Honesty and transparency go together, right? Mm-hmm. Transparency and truth don't.
Does everybody deserve your honesty?
You don't deserve to know everything about you.
Not everybody's ready for honesty.
Part of my story is too much to share with this person right now.
Is too messy, too much, too hurtful, too awkward.
I do not want to shrink myself because it makes you uncomfortable, right? I'm still going to show up as my badass, authentic, honest self. Choose who to share it with, right?
I'm just living and doing me, and that's when I feel like I make the best connections.
So snaps for you, you're right.
Snaps for us.
It will only ever take place on the level that it needs to if I have the courage to live.
Talking about the true origin of the word courage, to speak the full measure of one's heart.
These half-truths create only an illusion. It's honesty that builds the foundation we require to live as our authentic selves.
If you've ever struggled with speaking your truth, if you've held back for the fear of judgment, or if you've wondered how to be more honest without causing chaos, this episode's for you. Let's get into it.
All right, everybody, welcome back for another awesome conversation here at Permission Slip Granted. Today, we are going to be talking about something that came up when we were first putting together our ideas for the show. Hillary had something profound that she wanted us to form a conversation around. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to her. We are going to be talking about honesty versus truth. So go, Hillary.
Yeah, thanks, Kylie. Oh my. Okay, so I was so curious about this because I feel like if one of your core values is honesty, then if you're not living as honestly as you feel you possibly can, there's a misalignment within yourself. So I had written a speech for a class that I was on, and here's a little bit about what I thought about it. There's very subtle difference between truth and honesty. Honesty at its core leaves no margin for truths or speculation. However, truth can be subjective. Truth can be debatable. These half-truths create only an illusion. It's honesty that builds the foundation we require to live as our authentic selves. And one example for me on that would be, let's just say I meet somebody that I've never met before, and they might say to me, "Oh, are you married?" And I'll say, "No, I'm divorced." And then I'll allow that to go on and have a conversation. But and that's the truth. But if I was being completely honest, I would say, I've actually been divorced twice, married and divorced twice. But I don't say the honesty because I'm afraid of what they're going to think of me, or I'm just afraid of what I'll even think about myself if I just say it out loud. So to me, I'm going to try and live as honestly as possible and just not kind of sugarcoat the truth.
Yeah, that is powerful.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here going, for me, coming from a different angle, having, grown up in a high demand religion, there was always this conversation about truth and how we needed to proclaim God's truth. And to be clear, have nothing against anybody else who's religious. So this is just my experience, not crapping on anybody. We need to go proclaim God's truth. And like you said, if we were being honest, if we pull back and look at some of the roots of this organization, there's a whole lot of mess there that's just been covered up because we're so focused on proclaiming God's truth rather than being honest. I think for me, honesty and transparency go together, right? Mm-hmm. Transparency and truth don't.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's so true. And I feel like honesty builds a foundation for real connection with other people. Truth will be just kind of like we were talking about, Sydney, like empty relationships, like it won't be really real because you don't know my true self. I'm only showing you what I think you're going to accept.
Right. Well, we can all have many truths happen at the same time, I believe. But, humans are so complicated.
Mm-hmm.
And, I love that you said that about, you've been, if you were being truly honest, you would say, hey, I've been divorced twice. But that's just, information that you could share with someone you really want to be honest with all the time. But if you want to practice honesty and wearing feelings on your sleeve, as people like to describe myself, which, anyway, I'll go into that later. But I think that's something that you practice over time. But yeah, so,
Yeah, maybe it's, does everybody deserve your honesty?
Mm.
You know,
no.
you don't think so?
Mm, does everybody? No, I don't, because I think you get to know yourself at a certain point in time. You know yourself, and you know what you need and know what you don't need to a certain point. And when you really kind of feel people out, y- y- they don't deserve to know everything about you, and that's okay. And this goes along with our conversation about saying no. It's kind of like my honesty is kind of like as honest as I want to be, and period, and then I can move on. Um, but I'm pretty good at letting people see me and what I struggle with, and I'm okay with that because I'm a person and I know that I'm evolving. And yeah, sometimes I get in my head about it, but um, no, not everybody deserves to see the full me, I don't think.
So what I'm hearing, just to make sure I'm understanding, is as it pertains to your story, not everyone deserves honesty. Is that
Right.
correct, Sydney? But like,
Yeah.
if someone's saying, does this do, I don't know, is there food in my teeth? Yeah, they deserve honesty if there's food in their teeth.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Like, so I just want to make sure I'm understanding when it comes to our personal lived experiences. What you're saying is not everybody deserves to have access to all of your story. Is that
Yeah.
correct? Yeah.
Yeah. Unless I feel like I need to come out of the closet with my whole story, and I want not out of the closet, but out in the open with my whole story. Then I'm telling. This is such a complicated
No,
subject.
it's good. I have something I can kind of dovetail with yours in that, and this just came up this week at the massage studio. So for context, it will make this story make much more sense. Massage therapists in the United States, well, at least in Washington state, have to keep charts after every session. They're called SOAP charts. It stands for Subjective Objective Assessment Plan. So we do that, right? In the subjective section, that's everything about the client. And the way I learned it is literally verbatim what they say. You're not supposed to paraphrase, you're not supposed to abbreviate. And of course, my autistic brain grabbed on like, this is the rule, this is what we do. So a coworker who's also, again, for context, I'm a team lead at the studio, and so is this other person. And they said, hey, I want to talk to you about something that you put in a soap chart. And I said, okay. And they said, you wrote down, and I won't say this client, so-and-so, you wrote down after one of their sessions, you set the bar really high for massage therapists. And I was like, yeah. And she's like, I'm okay with that because I'm secure in my massage skills. I know this is a client that sees both of us, like there's no drama. But what do you think so-and-so on your team would feel if they read that? And this was a great learning moment for me as an autistic person, because number one, I hadn't thought anything about how somebody else might perceive me writing that comment. I also hadn't thought about how somebody else might internalize that. So here's this balance of How do I honestly record what the client is saying with this awareness? Do I need to police all of my words? Do I need to go back and change all the soap charts? No. Can I grow and evolve as a human to realize, while that might be exactly what they said, maybe I don't need to put that piece in there. Maybe it's a client reported reduction of pain, right? So it's not like I feel comfortable with that now. When I first started massaging, I might have been like, but that's not what they said. But as I've grown and right, like I want to make sure that, well, it's not my job to manage other people's feelings. I certainly, in a leadership position, can take more care with how my actions might affect other people. So I can understand a little bit of this. Not everybody, maybe it's not that they don't deserve, not everybody's ready for honesty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that you said that, because that's kind of what I was getting to, and you said it better than I could say it. Yeah, I think there's like an awareness and a discernment when you're talking to people, knowing maybe part of my story is too much to share with this person right now.
Mm.
In order to, I think I hold a value in order to protect people to a certain extent. When if you share something with them, it would bother them, their mental state, or they're not ready to handle, or, you might trigger them further. Like, I'm all about just let's, keep the peace at bay.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Hillary, what were your thoughts? Because I thought you were going to jump in there for a second.
You know what? I just feel like the most authentic relationship we can have is the one with ourselves. And I wrote a little bit. It just says, some of my truths have never been given breath. They live in the depths of my being, begging to be excavated and craving to be known. These truths have been molded by me and designed meticulously in order to fit in and hide among societal norms. And I feel like that's what a lot of people are doing by not living their honesty, even though they might be living their truth. And I feel like that is at the core of the disconnection between ourselves, our true selves. And, people always saying we're lost, or I'm just trying to get to know myself or find myself. It's that real disconnection of the authenticity that we always talk about. If I can't truly show up and be my authentic self, even with myself, and feel safe about that, how am I going to make authentic relationships with other people? And I think society puts a lot of pressure on us to not live our true honesty, because it is too messy, too much, too hurtful, too awkward, whatever that might be in those situations that you guys are talking about.
Yeah, what came up for me as you were talking is like, I would go back to the whole discernment piece, because I 1000% agree with you in that I do not want to shrink myself because it makes you uncomfortable, right? But also recognizing that, like, let's take that example with the massage studio, knowing that person on my team, being aware, I know that they have had some insecurities, right? So no, I'm not going to shrink myself to make them feel better, right? I'm still going to show up as my badass, authentic, honest self. Yeah. I'm just going to choose who to share it with, right? I feel like, especially those deep pieces that you're talking about, like, yes, because ownership and accountability are some of the other things that came up as you were talking, right? Those parts that are maybe not as pretty, the fuck ups that have helped us grow, right? I don't want to hide those. And not everybody needs to know that. But the things that are integral to the day-to-day living of my life, that I want to be honest with, right? Yeah.
Some of the funniest, like, in moments, I call them funny moments, but days where, I just show up and I'm tired. All right, we show up in our day to day and I'm exhausted and I'm tired and I'm not I don't have my full awareness like clicked on, right? And I am my most authentic self, and I'm not thinking about what others are thinking. I'm just living and doing me, and that's when I feel like I make the best connections.
Mm.
Because people just like love the fact that I just show up as messy and as weird and quirky and whatever. I think that makes them feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And they makes them feel seen in a way that, oh, like they maybe have perceived me in a different way, and yet I'm still showing up, and it gives them the confidence to show up too. Um, so I'm glad that I reminded myself of that today. Yay, snaps for me. But
Definitely, because I
I
love that.
just, yeah,
That
I
like you're creating a space for other women to show up as themselves when you choose to show up as yourself. And that's what I think the world really needs, is more space for women to show up. And when you're truly out there doing it, that is so huge.
yeah,
So snaps for you, you're right.
snaps for us.
Okay, well, do you have any other thoughts specifically about this conversation? Like, what's your main takeaway from the conversation that we've had today?
For me, I think it's that I really need to, and I know that this is not for everybody, but I believe that I have been called to speak my own honesty, and that's what will make a difference in other people's lives. And I feel the most productive when I can serve other people. And I truly believe that that is what my purpose is. And it will only ever take place on the level that it needs to if I have the courage to live as my honest self.
Mm.
And I love listening to you speak, Hillary. You always have something really, really deep and really great connective ideas. And the way you speak is really beautiful. So I encourage you to keep doing that.
Thank you. That means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, I like that you brought the word courage, because uh, something that was boiling in the back of my mind through this whole conversation is I feel like sometimes truths can be weaponized because they are more subjective, right?
Mhm. Yep.
As the truly courageous piece is, and going back to, we had to make sure we mentioned Brene Brown at least once per episode, right? Talking about the true origin of the word courage, to speak the full measure of one's heart, right? It doesn't say just the pretty parts or the parts that people like, the full, right? So it does take true courage to live with honesty, to live with integrity, rather than just within your beliefs and your own subjective truths. Yeah. Yeah, that definitely gave me some things to think about.
Yeah, it's really thought provoking. Like, I feel so curious about this topic.
We might have to revisit it, and especially, have Kristen join us the next time and see what other nuggets we uncover.
Well, she'll have lots to say when she hears this, so I think we will need a part 2.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up for today. We are so happy that you joined us here at Permission Slip Granted. And we feel really strongly about creating this space with authenticity, with vulnerability, with integrity for us, for all of you who are listening. We appreciate your support. Be sure to check us out. If you're on YouTube right now, check us out on Spotify. If you're on Spotify, check us out on YouTube. And be sure to look at all of our Instagram accounts for more information about upcoming episodes. You can, what are some of the other things, ladies? They can send us an email.
Mm-hmm.
They can
DM us.
DM us. They can, leave us a voicemail. And
Connect with us on Permission Slip Granted and join the community.
yes, thank you. So this is why we need each other, so we can get it all taken care of.
Yeah, if you don't want to send a message to us directly, join the community, and maybe you'll find some people who are sharing on there, and maybe that you'll find that they're sharing an issue that you're struggling with or that you want to talk about. So, whatever space that you feel safe in, please, I encourage you to go check it out.
All right. Take care. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
As we wrap up today's conversation on truth and honesty, we want to leave you with this. Honesty isn't just about telling the truth to others. It's about telling the truth to yourself. The more we align with our authentic selves, the more peace, clarity, and confidence we bring into our lives. If you loved today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. And as always, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Reach out on social media or through our website, permissionslipgranted.com. Thank you for joining us on this journey of growth and self-discovery. Until next time, take care and remember, you've got this.